All right, here's my iPhone. It's one light, one LED, not very strong. So here is I'm holding the soft Arkansas stone right now. And as you can see, there is no light shining through. And here is the hard. And again, we see no lighting shining through. Here is the black hard. This is the black hard. You can see there is virtually no reflection. And we see no light anywhere. So the light is completely blocked by the stone. Here is the translucent, and it's a white. And you can see here that there is light. See, this is the light, and here's a stone in front of the light. So pretty cool. This is a translucent stone, as you can see. Hey guys, welcome back. Ricky here. Alright, so today we've got a sharpening session that you guys have all been waiting for, and it's of the Arkansas stones. And I have 4 of them here. Let me walk you guys through them, tell you guys a little bit of the specs. And I've never used them before, so today is a very exciting day for me. Now, when you hear about natural sharpening whetstones, everyone talks about Japanese natural sharpening whetstones, and they're great. I mean, admittedly, they are very nice. They cost a lot of money. Now, I've seen them at, average prices would range between $200 to $300 for a decent stone to as high as $2,000. These stones here are a little bit more sensible. They range from, I think, $30 to as high as $70, and I think maybe a little higher for the very large translucent stones or larger black hard stones. Go from left to right. This is the soft Arkansas. It's got a soft, very light marbling. It's light with a little bit of dark marbling. And these, they don't really give you a grit rating for these stones. These are more like density. They talk about density for these stones. And so the denser they are, the higher the grit, or the finer the particulates. And so you can just tell that it's got more of a thud than like a ping. And then the hard, this is the hard. You tell the pitch is getting a little bit higher. And this is the hard black. It's got a really nice ping. I like the way how that sounds. And this is a translucent. So it sounds very close to the black. Maybe just, a few notches higher. Yeah, they sound very similar, but definitely slightly higher pitch on the translucent. My silicon mat. This is my my current favorite silicon mat to sharpen on because it's really flat and it takes the clutter away. And so when I'm not using a lot of water, like on soaking wet stones, I like using the mat. It's great. I bought it for like $10 on Amazon. Okay, so just a few drops is all that's needed. That's the nice thing about oil is oil does a really good job obviously staying at the surface, and it also does a really good job kind of holding all of that slur and that all the shavings off of the knife. That's the water here. Interesting. So right off the bat, I'll tell you that this, even though it's considered a coarse stone, it is, I think it's probably at least 1,000 grits if you want to give it a rating. Very hard, very dense, very interesting. So that's 3 passes. And so when I'm saying passes, I mean going from tip to heel. Okay, that was 4 passes, and I think we're very close. I think one more pass should do. Yeah, we're good. All right, so what I did there is after my, was that 4th or 5th pass, I went to the crescent method. So I basically went from heel to tip and back and forth. And basically what that does is it evens out all of the cutting edge. And so it makes sure that if I spent, if I were to, it's more like a insurance policy. If you were to accidentally spend too much time in one area of the knife, in the push and pull, you will grind that area a little bit flatter than the rest of the knife. And so by doing the crescent method, going back and forth, I even the area out. So it ensures that this knife here remains, it has a really beautiful constant radius on the cutting edge. So by doing that, you help maintain that cutting profile. Okay, so now we'll go to the left side of the knife. So it's 2 passes. Now I've got a habit, I don't know how many other people do this, but you'll see me doing things like really short strokes at the top and the bottom of the whetstones. And it's just a habit I've developed so that it helps me keep my stones flatter. And so even though this stone is extremely dense, it's just a habit that I do. I sharpen the tip at the very edges of the stone and also at the very heel, and I go back and forth, short strokes, long strokes, back and forth a few times. And that's just a way for me to keep my stones, even as possible during sharpening. It's not needed, but it's just something I do. Okay, we've got a very nice micro burr on the left side, or on the right side, sharpening the left side. Okay, I think we're ready to move on. All right, so what I'm gonna do here is just add a little bit more oil in this. Make sure we clean it up nicely. Even though you don't need to clean your stone right after you use it, I like to baby my stones. So I know I've got an unhealthy obsession with whetstones and knife sharpening. I'm sorry. All right. I got the stone darkened, and then this is the side without oil, and then the side with oil. How the colors just kind of pop. All right, we'll put this over here. Now we'll get the the hard Arkansas stone. Arkansas stone. These can be changed to the Arkan stones. I think it sounds cooler. Arkan stones. Is that a Lord of the Rings reference? Arkan stone? Okay, let's put this down. Do I have any Lord of the Ring fans out there? Okay, here we go. Beautiful stone. Look at this. So, without oil, with oil. Yeah, so I completely changed the color. Made it nice and dark. Just really handsome. All right. Let's get this. So again, oh, you know what I didn't do? It's okay. I'll do it in this stone here. I normally like to run back and forth. It's okay. This stone is hard enough that it probably won't matter at all, actually. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the push and pull again, just to get a feel for this stone. It's not needed. I normally would just go to single strokes at this point once you go to the higher grit after your lower grit stones, but because I'm testing these stones out, I'm gonna just do the whole sharpening process all over again. Wow, that is really interesting. Really interesting. I'll tell you guys in just a second. Now, because the knife has been sharpened on the previous stone, it developed the burr in 2 passes, which is expected. But I really dig how this feels. This feels very similar to a Trocera 3000, but even harder. It's actually pretty neat. Really nice feeling stone. Beautiful, beautiful stone. Okay, so towards the last few seconds there, you can tell the pitch got a little bit higher, and that's because during this stroke here, I was pulling a lot of the oils off of the stone onto the knife and onto the very edge. So these stones do a lot better when there's oil on them. Yeah, we've already got a burr here. So I'm gonna do it one more time. Beautiful feeling stone, really nice. Okay, so once I do that, I normally go back and I go a few strokes on each side. what that is, it's straightening your cutting edge, removing any harsh burrs that may be there, and getting the knife ready for polishing. Again, at this point, I'm applying no pressure at all. I'm just allowing the weight of the knife to do the work. All right. Yeah, this stone, you're not seeing any load up at all. Really beautiful. And the oil is doing a really good job keeping the load up from happening. But these stones are extremely hard and extremely flat. And I like that. I like that a lot. Here's the black. I'm really excited about this stone here. Beautiful stone. So you can probably see it better now that it's a little glossy. And so untreated and then treated oil. Not treated, but oiled. Okay, here we go. I'm excited. Okay, so I'm gonna go with the push and pull again. I just wanna see how the stone feels, and then I'll do the crescent at the end, but I just wanna see how the stone feels as it is. Oh my goodness. Wow is all I can say. These stones are very different than anything I've ever used before. Yeah, super fine micro burr at this point. Really nice. Yeah. This feels really nice. I almost wanted to keep on going just to spend some more time on this stone, but it is a fantastic feeling stone. Really nice feeling. Very responsive, extremely flat. And I don't think a stone, synthetic or natural, can be better milled than these stones here. I mean, this, yeah, these are work of arts here. Or works of art. Works, yes. Yeah, I'm not gonna polish. Well, I am gonna polish on it, but I want to do the push and pull as well. And I just want to see the stone. It's a really good day today. Now, you may be hearing these little pops every once in a while, and what you're hearing there is because these stones don't develop any sort of slur, or very, very little slur, any sort of debris like dust, little, uh, metal chippings or shavings from your knife, they all get accentuated, and you hear them, you feel them a lot more on a super hard stone, which is what these are. But don't be alarmed, those are very normal, and normally you won't hear them on a synthetic whetstone that gives off a lot of slur, because the slur mixes with all those debris and it kind of grinds everything up. But because we don't have a lot of slur here, you're hearing a lot more things that you normally would hear when sharpening on a synthetic whetstone. Yeah, really beautiful stone. Really nice. I'm losing track of sharpening because I'm not really doing what I'm supposed to be doing right now. I just want to, get a feel for these stones, but they are so nice. think we're done. Yeah, you can see the oil does a really good job keeping the load up from happening on these stones, or the load up from penetrating onto the stone surface. Yeah, and you're getting pretty much zero load up at this point, or it might be like, 1% load up. Very little. Both sides extremely clean. The magazine paper loads up on the cutting edge really quickly. So lots of things to say about these stones. Let's start with the soft. We'll go from soft to hard or to the translucent. And I think these are the least dense that they come in. And that's very interesting because in terms of actual sharpening experience, I think these are very close to a 1000 to a 1500 grit whetstone. It wasn't very fast. So in terms of developing a burr, I think I took 5 passes on the first side and then 2 or 3 passes on the second side. It is considered soft by natural whetstone standards, but still very dense. What's happening during the sharpening was I was noticing that you would hear these, these little snaps and these pops. What's probably happening is you're actually grinding down, different sediments on the stone, which makes it very interesting, and it makes it kind of fun too, kind of exciting when you're doing that. I don't think the soft stone requires flattening for a long time, and the reason I can say that is because during sharpening, there was no slur coming off of the stone at all. I can see maybe like the minimal amount of slur coming off, and mostly I think it's from the knife. The hard Arkansas is something I really like. When I first started sharpening it, it was kind of strange because I felt like I was sharpening on a really high grade synthetic whetstone, but after my second pass, it is harder than the soft, but I felt like it gave me better feedback and it gave me a better tactile feel. There's a special connection you get with these stones, and I don't want to sound so esoteric, but sharpening on natural whetstones really do feel different, and you get to appreciate the stone a lot more than sharpening on a synthetic whetstone. It was all about how the stone felt, and to me, that is very meditative, very therapeutic, if I can say so. The black. I think this stone here is my favorite stone in today's session, at least. It really changed my opinions walking into this sharpening today. I thought these stones were going to be very slow, which they are not very fast, but they aren't very slow. They're just a little bit slower than what I'm used to. But the feedback you get from these things are unmatched, at least with any of the stones I have used so far. And this stone here, normally when you hop on the stone, you're not going to be doing push and pulls on it. I did it just because I wanted to see how it felt. And I'm glad I did, because I'm able to better understand the stone when I sharpen how I normally sharpen. I really think that this is a stone that if you're going to get into an Arkansas stone, this would be a stone you should at least consider. It won't replace a high polishing whetstone on the Japanese side. I don't think this is more than a 5,000 grit polish, maybe 6,000 grit polish. You're not seeing any sort of mirror polish on these stones, which is interesting because using Japanese synthetics, as soon as you hit the 5,000 grit mark, they're adding polishing agents, right? And so you're seeing mirror polishes by the time you hit a 5,000 grit stone, like a Shapton 5000. It's a very low mirror polish, but still a mirror polish. I didn't see that on the hard black. Even though this is considered a polishing stone, the feedback is still very immediate, and it lets you know exactly what's happening on the knife and the stone. And I personally really enjoy that. To me, speed is kind of secondary with sharpening. It's all about feedback and tactile feel. Those things are the most important with sharpening stones. And these stones offer all of those things with the exception of speed. When you pick this up, you think it's a synthetic stone because it is pure black. And it's hard to believe that this is a natural whetstone, but it is. And I'm really happy to have it here. But yeah, this thing here, it is perfectly smooth, perfectly flat. And so with this stone here, most of the time, if you're sharpening on any of the higher, let's say the higher grit or the higher density stones, you're going to be doing single pulls on these stones. You're not going to be doing push and pulls. So you're going to be doing single stroke pulls. And because of that, I can confidently say that these stones will most likely not require flattening at all for many years. I'm guessing at least 4 or 5 years of sharpening. Translucent is next. And so the translucent stone is very interesting. I found that this stone here felt very similar to the black hard. and these are probably harder to find. They come in smaller sizes. I didn't feel like the sensation was different enough for me to really tell the difference between two stones. And so, yeah, I mean, so again, that's just speaking from an amateur standpoint at this point. I am a very amateur user when it comes to these stones here. These stones are very immediate in terms of their feedback. They will tell you exactly what's happening. So there's a pro and con to that. The pro is that they allow you to make micro adjustments as you're sharpening, and they tell you everything that's happening. They will let you know what's wrong with your technique, which is a good thing if you're getting into hand sharpening. The bad thing is that their feedback is too immediate in some cases, and that it can really intimidate a person who's getting into sharpening. It can basically not allow you any sort of grace for mistakes. And with a synthetic stone, a softer stone, let's say a King 1000 or even a Cyrax 1000, even though the feedback is very good, they still allow you room to make mistakes and room for error. The good thing is that they aren't very fast, and so even though you will know that you're making a mistake, you will have time to make micro adjustments to your strokes. Do I recommend these for people getting into hand sharpening? Certainly, yes, they are fantastic. They are really nice. For a sharpening whetstone, if you want to spend $20, $30 on a sharpening whetstone, I think this would be very nice to have if you were just buying your very first stone. If you already have a lower grit level stone, a 500 or 1000 grit synthetic stone, I would say keep that and just keep sharpening on that, because this will, even though it does feel better than a cheaper budget 1000 grit whetstone, it may frustrate you in terms of its overall speed. But that's the only thing negative about this stone. If you have a 1000 grit whetstone and you want to kind of up your polishing level, and you're looking into either a $50 or $60 Japanese whetstone, this may be a consideration, because it does offer you a slightly higher polish and definitely a cleaner edge than a 1000 grit whetstone. But the sharpening, the tactile feedback, and the hand feel is amazing on this stone. So I really like this stone here. Definitely a stone that I would recommend if you didn't have a high grit sharpening stone or a low grit polishing stone. If you already had one, I would say you can skip it and then look at the black hard, because the black hard is the stone that to me, of today's session, is my favorite stone. It's not the fastest cutting. I've never felt a polishing stone offer the same sensation as this stone here. And that's part of why I really like it, because most polishing stones that I use are very dull, they're very muted, they're quiet, the feedback is not very immediate. You normally find that in your sharpening stone. So to have that, to have the feedback, to have this relative speed, but have the immediate feedback that this gives you as a polishing stone, that's what really speaks to me as a hand sharpener. And so that's why, even though I like these stones here, I don't find them to be essential to me because I have so many good sharpening stones already. But I have very few polishing stones that give me that feedback that I'm looking for. And this definitely is that stone. And in terms of load up, you can see that from the hard up to the translucent, there is virtually no load up at all. There is some load up on the soft, very minimal though. I don't think that would be a problem in the long run. In terms of grits, I don't think these are very high. I think even at the black level, you're looking at 5,000-6,000 grit. At the translucent, I'm guessing it's about 8,000 grit stone. I don't think it's anything higher than that. It might be, but again, there's no real way to tell you objectively what that grit rating is. If you hopped on a Shapton Glass 8,000 or a Trocera 10,000, those stones give you a mirror polish. You're not seeing that with this stone here, even though I did the push and pull on the stone. So in terms of raw speed, they will suffer relative to a good quality Japanese whetstone, synthetic whetstone. But in terms of feedback, they are better than the best synthetic whetstones I can find that I have. In terms of lubrication, you can use water. I've heard people using water or soapy water. I used the honing oil because that's what the instructions said. And people don't like using honing oil because it can get messy. It's not messy. You guys just add a few drops. It can get messy when you add a lot of oil and you're splashing oil everywhere. But you can see today I just had a silicone mat, and the silicone mat barely had any oil on it. So as long as you're using just 3 or 4 drops of oil on the stone and only applying when you need it, it's not a messy job. So yeah, even though you can use water on these, I'll try with water on the other side and see how I feel. But I think honing oil with these stones are probably going to be the best way to go. The surface on these stones are even flatter and straighter than my best synthetics. But I got these from sharpeningsupplies.com. I think they have the largest selection of these stones and certainly the best selection of these natural whetstones. So if you guys want to check them out, I'll leave a link in the video description. I'll also leave a link to the video description to the exact stones that I'm using here. That way you guys aren't confused when you guys are on the website. For me, this is a really good way to jump into the natural whetstone world without spending a lot of money. If you guys want to see more sharpenings of these stones with different knives, I have knives heat treated from a 55 all the way up to a 66. So if you guys want to see different knives sharpened on these stones, let me know which knives you want to see. And if you guys want to see these stones go head to head against other synthetic whetstones or other naturals that I have, let me know as well. I have an app that I've been developing for the last, I would say, the greater part of 2018. And the main goal of this app, it's going to allow people like stay-at-home moms and dads, or people who just like to cook on their part-time, on the weekends, and they want to make a few extra portions of what they're really good at and sell it to the community around them. And so this is not a get-rich scheme app. This is not for you to sell something across the world, although that could happen. And so what's really cool about this app is that it connects you to those in your community through food. I need 100 of you guys to beta test this app. And so what we'll do is I will leave a link in the video description to a mailing list, an email list. And so there will be no spam, I guarantee you. This list goes directly to me, and it's only for me to communicate about when you can download the app. And that's really about it. But yes, that is something that I am very excited about. I look forward to catching up with you guys there, and I will catch you in the next video.